Visual Studio has been around a long time. If you work with Microsoft programming platforms, then I'll wager that you have installed it on your computer at some point. But many of you are encountering Visual Studio for the first time. A natural question to ask if you are a new user is, what is Visual Studio? Visual Studio is a tool for developers available in paid and free versions. It is also a family of related tools labeled with the Visual Studio branding. Microsoft has a term they use for the Visual Studio work environment. It is known as the Integrated Development Environment, or the IDE. Here is a screenshot of the IDE. It has multiple tabs, lots of tools in the toolbar, across the edges of the screen. Learn to love this interface, as you will spend a good portion of your workday within its walls. Ask most people what they think a programmer does while at work, and they'll probably say, writing code. One of the features that makes Visual Studio successful is its detailed support for code editors. These editing tools attempt to ease the burden of writing and editing code and markup. Visual Studio contains editors for all the major languages like C++, Visual Basic, and C#. The number of project types available in Visual Studio is astounding. If you can think of a project that targets Microsoft technology, there's probably a template for it available inside Visual Studio. Out of the box, Visual Studio contains dozens of project templates. Visual Studio 2012 also fully incorporates the internet into the project tools. You can easily download new templates and sample projects from the new project dialog. When you write software, you also create bugs. Visual Studio has a full suite of debugging tools integrated within the IDE. You can quickly troubleshoot an emerging problem minutes after writing the new code. Many developers create unit tests for their classes at the same time that they write the code. This is a common practice nowadays. If you like this test-based approach to coding, you'll find a set of testing tools inside Visual Studio. There are many other helpers included in Visual Studio. There are tools for researching the underlying code constructs and the .NET framework. The integrated help is superb. No, really, it's the best help system yet for Visual Studio. You get tools for monitoring servers and other network resources. It comes with a set of code generation tools. You write some boilerplate templates and let Visual Studio automatically produce the code. If you build user interfaces, then you'll appreciate the visual designers in the IDE. They have drag and drop UI creation and are indispensable for visualizing and constructing your beautiful interfaces. Naturally, Visual Studio includes compilers for compiling your source code into the finished executables. If you have more complex needs, extra steps that must be performed before or after the code compile, try the sophisticated build engine available in Visual Studio. Once the app is ready, you have to get it onto the user's computer or deploy it onto the production server. That is where the deployment tools come into the picture. Data is the core of many business applications. Visual Studio includes tools for creating, testing, and managing database schemas. You can create dummy test data from within Visual Studio and add it to your database. For the code and UI side, you might want to check out the data binding tools. You'll find most of the data binding tools in the UI designers. You can drag a data source onto a form and have Visual Studio generate all the code to work with that data. Visual Studio includes tools for creating object relational mappers, or ORMs. Entity Framework is the most mature of the included ORM tools. With Entity Framework, you can create an ORM from the database schema, from your existing code base, or from architectural documentation. There is also a project and team management system available inside Visual Studio. With it, you can track software bugs and work items. It provides a source control system for the team. It provides a project-specific online team portal, and you get detailed reports for team leads and managers. As you can see, Visual Studio is a big, complex tool and ecosystem. I'll show you the different versions available in the next video.